there's really nothing off the table. We're letting you guys in on what we actually think about healthcare.
So I get the epidural and it's not working. So they bring me to the operating room and they go give her a bolus. The ceiling becomes like all crazy. And then I hear these clanging lights in my head. And I go, stop everything. Something is wrong.
Did you ever want more kids after us?
No.
How did you even hold it together for like the baby like us?
When you're a mother, you will do anything and everything for the safety, protection of that child.
Jess, you gave birth at home, right?
I was dilated to 9 for over 24 hours, but I was so determined to have him at home that I was like, this is totally fine. And my husband had to lift my stomach up and then push it down. And then like my mom and my mother-in-law came to my house and they're like, you don't look okay. And I'm like, no, this is how I'm supposed to look. My baby is born, he was born at home. They're like, you are blue, but I had just like lost a lot of blood. But that's exactly what I wanted.
Stevia in some studies has shown a 75% reduction in female fertility. Women are just chugging stevia and protein powder.
Protein powder, electrolyte drinks, gummies.
Hims Gummies just released a biotin plus minoxidil gummy.
Now you're losing your hair. Maybe we look at the root of what's going on versus just like throwing different medications at it.
The underlying causes of hair loss can be anything from hormone imbalances, nutritional deficiency, absorption issues, stress. Everybody wants overnight, easy, quick, fast, which there's no such thing as easy, quick, fast.
Welcome to Celluverse, a podcast where we go behind the scenes of what's actually going on in the health world. We've got Dr. Connealy, Jess Donovan, and myself, Alannah Connealy, and we talk about health every single day for hours. And so we're letting you guys in on the conversation on what we actually think about the most controversial health topics. Antibiotics, vaccines, the fertility crisis, seed oils. There's really nothing off the table. We're letting you guys in on what we actually think about healthcare and wellness and everything in between. So yeah, we're super excited to be here with you guys. It was Mom's 68th birthday a few weekends ago. And it was so funny because all the speeches were about how she like walks into a room and x-rays you with her eyes and decodes fatty liver. And like all her friends are afraid of what they're gonna find when she peers into your soul. And then it was just so funny. I feel like you're like that too, but more with vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like I'm a lay person of medicine. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but it's my life's work to be diagnosing people on the street.
You're so
So how did that really come about?
I think it's just like your own personal journey that you like go through. My mom was always really interested in like health and wellness, and then I think that got passed down to me. And you go through different life experiences and you just start diagnosing people.
Yeah, we'll be at like Ride Goods and she's like anemic, issues with her father, too much almond milk. I'm like, wow, really picked up fast on the situation.
No, my friend posted a photo the other day being like, I'm just realizing how big my forehead is. And I was like, oh, it's just histamines. You're fine.
It's just a histamine issue.
And she wasn't actually hoping that I was going to diagnose her, but it's my job.
Yeah, I do that too. I like solved someone's period cramps the other day through text. I'm like, what can't I do? Curing the world one text at the time. I'm like, aspirin now, orange juice now, let's go.
Yeah. Would you know anything about helping people?
A little bit. Since that's
Yeah, what do you really know about that, Mom?
Yeah, just 39 years.
People don't realize that Mom literally like in between visits, she's like, I find her looking through a binder from 1750 on page 22. And she's like, oh, I needed this study. And she's like, photocopy this, print this right now. I need this exact study from a million years ago to explain to a patient like what's going on with their cancer. I'm like, that is so cool. She's truly a mad scientist.
It's so beautiful.
One of the last few remaining.
Well, hopefully we can transform that and make people more curious about really the miracle of their body that they live in.
Yeah, facts. Okay, so we're starting things off with Pulse Check, This Week in Health, the biggest health stories. Just to get a pulse check, like what's going on with the world, in the wellness world. There's so many crazy things going on. So Hims Gummies just released a biotin plus minoxidil gummy, and they're suggesting this is revolutionary not sure what part of like giving someone, making them flaccid or erectile dysfunction is like revolutionary, but this is what they want us to believe. So it's basically a gummy. For those that don't know, Mom, you don't, maybe don't know, but Hims and Hers is like a telehealth company. They have a bunch of medications, most like all conventional medications basically, and they give them to you really easily. Um, and they came out with this gummy, and Jess and I were concerned about the customers of this demonic company, basically.
If you go into someone's medicine cabinet and you see that they have gummies because they're worried about their hair loss, you might have bigger issues at play.
Well, any medical issue is way more complex than just prescribing a medication. Now, I will say that they're trying to combine a medicine with nature, biotin, if it is really natural. But when you think about hair loss, so many people really have hair loss problems. And I take it seriously because for women, it is such a vain issue. You just don't want to lose your hair. It's okay if a guy loses his hair, but for a female, like it's an emergency. But we have to understand that we are very complex beings. We're 50 trillion cells with 100,000 chemical reactions taking place per second. And the underlying causes of hair loss can be anything from hormone imbalances, nutritional deficiency, absorption issues, stress. So any doctor should be going down the rabbit hole with this issue and maybe start them with a few things natural first before we just jump into medicine. Some of my patients say, no, I just want to jump into the medicine, and I will do the natural things. But I always believe that if you're going to give patients a medication, we should tell them the good, bad, the ugly of the medication so that they know the risk of what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is symbolic. These problems take decades to happen, and then we want to solve it with like a Jolly Rancher. And the body is way too complex and multifactorial for these kind of like single shot solutions. But, this is kind of representative of like the culture right now. This green gummy masquerade.
Well, I feel like Hims and Hers is also just like a whack-a-mole, where it's like, okay, so you want to be on birth control, you are worried about gaining weight now because you're messing up with your hormones, and then now you're losing your hair. Maybe we look at the root of what's going on versus just like throwing different medications at it. And
Yeah.
it's in gummy form, which is insane because it's like, what are the other ingredients in that gummy?
Yeah. It's because losing your hair is a blinking red light, like something's going on with the organism. Stress, thyroid issues. It's like a serious issue, and we want to solve it with candy. And yeah, there might be, not that all candy's bad, but I think the ingredients were definitely, I was
Not
looking at
good.
them. No, like not something you want to take every day. I would rather just take the pill than add like the other weird, like colors, like fake
But
artificial.
how will you remember if it's not a gummy?
I don't
We're just adults here. We need our gummy.
I know, it's absolutely crazy. And this company is like a billion-dollar company, so I don't know. I hope people take the harder route, honestly, and try to
Well, I
look
think
into
it's the instant gratification.
Yeah.
Everybody wants like overnight, easy, quick, fast, which there's no such thing as easy, quick, fast.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
and
12% of women experience noticeable hair loss by the age of 29, by the way.
which is a very high number.
Yeah.
So
Cortisol, thyroid issues.
nutrient deficiencies, malabsorption, all of these things
Yeah.
matter. Everything matters.
Yeah. And then what you were saying is like Hims and Hers is solving all ends of it, because it's like they're going to give you the weight loss drug and then the hair loss the weight loss drug causes hair loss.
Yeah, they're essentially creating the problem and being like, but I'm going to be the one that fixes it. And so you need to follow
Brilliant.
all the things that I'm giving you. So now you're on like 5 different subscriptions with them because you
Mhm.
talk to a doctor on the internet for 5 minutes.
Well, not to mention the mitochondrial effects by each and every drug you take, and not to mention the nutritional deficiencies of every single drug you take, and then the interaction of more than one drug. No one even really knows what that is.
Yeah.
Because it's
Crazy.
also different for every body.
Correct.
Like there are some people that could take 5 different things and like look beautiful and super healthy on the outside, and then 20 years down the line everything crumbles because they were like, I was so hot in my 20s. Like, it was a great time to be alive.
Right.
Absolutely crazy. Okay, next up on the pulse check, we have Molly Baz's Mayo company secures 4.5 million to ramp up distribution. And this is a influencer. Jess is more familiar with her than I am. But she launched a Mayo brand. And the problem is we were like super excited to try it, and it has seed oils in it. It has sunflower oil. I think it's sunflower oil.
It is sunflower
Yeah.
oil. Well, it's just upsetting because I've followed her for like years. She's like a chef and she does great work. Love what she stands for, essentially. But she's coming out with a product that's designed so well. It's packaged all cute. It's going to be in all the like cute boutique grocery stores. But the main ingredient is sunflower oil. And why are we not just buying Mayo? Like, why are we not just buying like, what's the classic Mayo brand?
Hein? Or is it Hein?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever conventional brand there is, if it's still going to be a seed oil. Like, why are you giving us these expensive prices for these like a really cute bottle, but it's still gonna
I already saw them at Mercado. Mercado's the little bodega.
which we love.
In
Love
Laguna.
Mercado.
Not a sponsor of the podcast, but maybe soon if they would answer my DMs. Yeah, they're already at Mercado. And yeah, they're you know, making basically on their website too, it says premium ingredients. And what about sunflower oil is premium? Not really sure.
Right.
But
And there's so much out there now on seed oils and contributing to so many diseases and illnesses that it should be really publicized everywhere about it, since everyone's ingesting it on a regular basis now today. A lot of times, most of the time, not knowing. I mean, you look on the shelf and it says organic, and you think it's like this wonderful bottle of whatever dressing, etc. And oh, seed oils, and everything, a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, and I just wish stores and companies would be like, think about the end user. Like, you can make your product great and just be for the end user, instead of like, okay, let's just try to make this and make it with whatever and whatever chemicals and whatever seed oils, etc. And then we want our end user.
Well, it's also like compromising their beliefs too, because it's when I've followed her recipes in the past, she's not using seed oils when she's cooking for her family. So it's like, why are you creating a product that has seed oils in it? So then you know how to make this at home by yourself with all the good ingredients, but then when you're packaging it for other people, it has all the seed oils in it. Because guess what? It's going to be like, I don't know, I think it was like $10 to $15. And the packaging looks really nice. So people are going, oh, this is going to be premium ingredients. I don't even have to look at it because they spent so much money on branding that of course they're going to have organic olive oil and it's not going to be sunflower oil.
Yeah, totally. And also, why can't they just use olive oil? Like, I want to meet with their
Because it's cheaper.
it's like more
I think it's like a money
profit margin.
Yeah,
deal.
like I think that happens with a lot of brands where they start off with like a really core like ethos, and then as they get bigger and they want to give it to more people, they're like, oh, let's just water
Cut
it down.
corners,
Like,
yeah.
let's water the alcohol. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. It's just for an everyday man. Like, we don't care. We don't know them. This is not my family.
Yeah, like Siete chips changed their tortilla a little bit.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Siete loved them. Like, in the beginning when they first came out, I was like, yes, this is what we need. But like, even looking at the ingredients, you're like, that's not really what I want for my family.
Yeah,
But it was better than what was out there.
right.
But now we have masa, so
Yeah,
praise be.
capitalism doing its thing.
Exactly.
So, and I do think people don't mind paying for something that's going to be good and healthy for them.
100%.
Part of it is people need something to look scary for it to be scary. Like a lot of people don't get this conversation. They're like, wait, you care about sunflower oil? That is a fake thing to care about. And it's like, no, it's not really. Maybe, they need it to like feel and look scary and know it's scary before they can care. And that's why these companies kind of get away with doing the bare minimum, like putting sunflower oil in mayo. There should be more mayo brands, I feel like. I feel like that's one section that there's not enough options, actually.
Never enough mayo.
Why? I'm surprised. Well, Primal Kitchen, I guess, and I love Morgan from
Yeah.
Primal Kitchen. She's delightful. But they're avocado oil, which, we don't eat too much of, guys, around here. Because it just feels like I just don't trust it. I know it's the cheapest option.
Yeah. I mean, if there's ever an option not to do it, but it's like the lesser of evils. And why, when you're grocery shopping, do you have to, pick the lesser of evils? I had this conversation with my son all the time where he'll go for a snack that he wanted. And he's like, Mom, and I'm like, oh, we don't eat that anymore. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, they changed their ingredients. I'm so sorry. And I have to have that conversation. And he's only 5. And I'm not trying to make it so his life isn't great. He will go to In-N-Out with his dad and they have a great time and there's balance everywhere. But when I'm bringing it in my home, I'm so particular about what I'm gonna feed my kids because I'm growing who you are when you decide to have kids. So
Mm.
I keep a pretty strict rule in my house. But he's always questioning me Mom, do you know if they changed their ingredients? Are their ingredients still good? And I'm it's we have to check every time because you just can't trust. You can't blindly trust and go, oh, they care about me because, people are trying to make money.
Yeah, it's so true. And okay, so for the avocado thing, the avocado oil, that has a lot of the same bad oil, fats as as, it's what people don't get is
They've
avocado.
separated seed oils from PUFAs.
Yeah, exactly. So avocado oil is very high in PUFA. That's why it's fine, like Jess said, lesser of two evils, I think.
All right.
But that's why we don't eat a lot of snacks with avocado oil.
And everything in moderation. There is something to blessing your food or praying over your
Yes.
food before you eat it in the community who you're eating it with.
Yeah.
Yes, we can say all these things that we have to have very particular ingredients in our homes, but what's the community like when you're eating these foods? Anything can be blessed, in my opinion.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the countenance to which you welcome food into your body and say, hello, how are you? That too, and to your cells too, definitely changes how things are digested. Even understanding metabolism changes how you digest things. Everything is just all wrapped up together, they're all running.
Everything's one. Nothing is separate.
It is. Everything is designed to be connected. We all have. I actually wrote I just finished a book on cancer, and the final chapter is about that. How everything is one song. That's what the universe means. One song, and so it's just so beautiful. Everything.
It'll make you cry.
Okay, so we've got 2 amazing moms here. We're going to talk about their experience with having children because conception and fertility is the start of life, the most important thing, and there's a fertility crisis going on. So, yeah, I wanted to hear, Mom, your story with having children, and you have a crazy birth story that could be a movie.
Yes, it could. So first of all, I never had 2 periods in a row in my life. And so that was caused by a drug called DES that was used in the 50s. And my mother took it because she started bleeding. And then lo and behold, teenager years, my parents get a letter stating, oh, you took that drug, so you need to go to MD Anderson, which is
And what was the drug?
the drug is called DES, diethylstilbestrol. And so you need to go to a cancer hospital in Texas, MD Anderson, and get checked. And so that started my journey of kind of the discovery of myself. And I never had 2 periods in a row in my life. So I'm going to college and medical school and then graduate and then I'm working and then I get married and then I never really okay, I got to have kids because I will say that most girls' dreams is to have children. But I wasn't okay, I want to get married and have kids and all that good stuff because my career was just so intense. And then one day, literally one day, I'm like, I need to have a baby. One day, and it possessed me. And so it becomes a complete, takes over your life. So my girlfriend was an OBGYN, and I said, okay, how do I get pregnant? Now. So then first of all, I have to make sure my husband has sperm. Well, my husband did not have good sperm and good sperm quality.
Well, he had a vasectomy.
Because he was married before and had a vasectomy. And so but because of modern medicine, you can reverse vasectomies. And so we went to a urologist to go get it reversed. Well, unfortunately, the procedure didn't work. So several months before, I was reading this article about Robert Graham, and he invented the lens in glasses. And he had started this repository for germinal choice. Basically, it was donor sperm options. And so I'm just going to save this article. So I saved it in one of my files. And then when my husband could not have sperm, I'm like, oh God, I'm SOL. So what do I do? So I said, okay, I remember this place. It was in Escondido. I'd go by myself and visit the place. I love the people. I loved their whole mission. And I go, okay, how can I do this? And so they go, you have to fill out an application. I filled out the application. They accepted us. Well, then I'm like, okay, now I got to ovulate. And so my girlfriend, she said, okay, start taking Clomid. I start taking Clomid. Lo and behold, here I am, like a chemistry professor trying to see if I ovulate. Of course, it's much easier now. And I wasn't ovulating. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then she says, you better go to my friends at UCI. I go to the infertility doctors at UCI. And so they helped me essentially get pregnant. So it was nothing easy, nothing simple. And so I had my first baby with something called intrauterine insemination, where they take the sperm. I got the donor sperm from the repository for germinal choice in Escondido. And so
Do they send it on like dry ice or something?
yeah, they send it in this little tank. It's one of the big tanks. And then you bring it with you. And so then they they prepared the sperm and then they put it up inside the uterus. And so sure enough, I got pregnant, actually with triplets first, my first time.
Oh.
I had triplets. And so I got pregnant with triplets, and they were checking to see if the babies were growing. And so no, the babies weren't growing. So they said, okay, you can have a DNC, or you can just let it, dissolve on its own. And I said, no, I want this over with. So I had a DNC, came home perfect, great the next day, took a month off, and then I tried to get pregnant again. And then I got pregnant the first time with the intrauterine insemination. And so then I had my first child, very uneventful, very easy, came home, walked 3 miles, everything was great. Wonderful.
Wait, hold on, slow down. So where did you get the sperm? You found in a newspaper clipping, right?
Yes. Didn't have sperm. So I remembered that newspaper article and I go, oh, I'm going to get that out and then I'm going to go visit them. So I go and visit them and I love the people. They were just wonderful. And they had told me that they select these candidates. Okay. So they try to have sperm donors that are accomplished and don't have family history and have been screened for illnesses and diseases, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, okay, this sounds great, wonderful. And so when they gave me the samples, they were all colors like green, fuchsia, blue, et cetera. And then they gave me identifying features like height and education, family history, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And back in the day in the 90s, like sperm banks weren't really like this. You didn't get to like choose, like out of a catalog. So this actually like pioneered how sperm banks
Yeah, like, I
exist.
feel like there's like pictures now, and like you're going through a binder.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, there's pictures now?
yeah.
Okay, so this
Okay.
was a long time ago, and they did not have pictures, no names,
Just
obviously everything
characteristics, like
anonymous.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
Yes, exactly. Well, I actually chose a sperm donor that was kind of like my husband at
Yeah.
the time.
That makes sense.
And so then
We got donor fuchsia. I don't know what that
Yes.
color means about me, but I love that color.
yes.
Say cancer.
For any donor, I mean, there's a lot of fuchsia babies out there that
Uh.
contact me sometimes on Instagram or whatever.
Uh.
But if you're from donor fuchsia,
Yes.
hit me up.
So anyway, they would send me overnight the sperm in a liquid nitrogen container. And so then I was literally doing it by myself at home. And then
That's crazy.
that didn't work. And then I saw the infertility doctors who were amazing and helped me get pregnant, and I had baby number 1.
Quick break for our amazing sponsors at Superpower. Superpower.com makes it so easy to get answers about what's going on inside you. You can literally order 100 lab tests from your computer. It's absolutely amazing. And right now we have a discount code for listeners, Celluverse. We'll have the link in bio, but you can also go to superpower.com and input your discount for $100 off your lab tests. And again, this is an amazing way to see what's going on with your hormones, your gut health. They even have early detection for cancer and a clinical team in your pocket. It is absolutely amazing. We are advisors for this company because we believe in their mission. We believe in what they're doing for the future of health. So back to the show. By
Right.
the way, on the sperm bank thing, it later blew up in flames, I guess. There's this whole dramatic story that the entire building it was located in caught on fire and
In Escondido?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
Wow, it burned down?
and did it burn down? Question mark, we don't know.
Uh-huh.
What's the real story?
Well, I was wondering what happened
Yeah.
because they're not there, and they were just amazing people. The lady who did all the administration was this French lady, and the daughter was a nurse, and they were just wonderful people.
Really?
And of course, Graham was there and overseeing things and his team and everything, but it was a very it wasn't scary, and it wasn't robotic, and it wasn't it was just so familial automatically from the beginning. I felt so comfortable with these people, and I felt so comfortable with the process, which I think is so important in healthcare. I think healthcare is such a robotic conveyor belt, and this was no, we're going to help you, and we're going to make your life expand for you. It's just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I always sent them pictures every year. So
Yeah, and David Plotz wrote a book about the sperm bank, and Mom is chapter 1, and Mom never told me this, but the author came to her office and was following her around, asking her questions. I don't even know if you knew it was going to be in a book, but the book is amazing.
yeah,
It's called The Genius Factory, I think, or something. And the author is still a friend of mine, David Plotz. He was the editor-in-chief of Slate, if you know what that is.
Wait, so you
Yes.
come from the Genius Factory?
Yeah.
So casual. You're not to brag,
Oh my
but
gosh, you guys were accident. I was thought out. But it also what does it mean that I wasn't made through a man and wife's love for each other? I think there's implications on both sides of it. Obviously Mom's love was so fierce that she went through all of this to have us, but then it wasn't the traditional way. So how does this seep into our subconscious on these?
Right. That's such a good point because at the time, I was a young doctor and I really didn't know what I know now. And there's a great book called The Body Keeps Score. And now that I know everything I know now, I would have done some special blessings. Like we talked about blessing the food that maybe not be perfect, but I would have probably done some ceremonies around their time that I did it, at the time when I went to the doctor, and also at the time of delivery, do a ceremony about how they are going to be the most magnificent creatures, no matter what the entrance was to this world. It was going to be magnificent, despite how it all happened.
yeah.
But in a chemical experiment, I remember in organic chemistry, we got graded on how our yield was, okay? If you didn't get 95% yield, you didn't get an A. If you got 80, you were lower grade. And so I was so I always worked at the end and worked backwards. I'm okay, how do I get a good yield? And so I just got the experiment the way I wanted it to make sure I got the yield. And it's funny because I became a chemistry tutor because of that. But
So you've always been yield oriented.
yes, it's how do I make sure that my yield on the experiment is going to be good,
You're
right?
go to the Genius Factory.
Yeah. Well,
The whole point of the book too was moms that search out the Genius Factory are exceptional because only a certain type of person would do something like that. And so it wasn't that you can actually make geniuses like this. It was that, the score happens, by its inputs, basically. Like the results happen.
It like almost says more about the mother than the actual factory because
Yeah.
it's like I feel like it is not that it's easy to come by sperm these days. It's like a very extensive process, but like it's kind of made to be like, oh well, if you can't have a baby, this is what you do. You kind of go shopping for it, blah blah blah. I mean that's making it really small, but back in the day, you didn't have that opportunity and the option, so you had to search like far and wide to make this happen and make this family.
Yes,
Mhm.
when you are possessed that you have to have a kid, like you will just do.
You're like, I will search the ends of the earth to
Mhm.
get my babies because I know, like, there's this book called like Spirit Babies. So it's
Mhm.
essentially like, your like little spirit babies are always with you,
Mhm.
and then it's like when they decide to come down, and you have that with you. It's not like you knew your babies were ready to come, and so you were like, let's make this happen. And I think a lot of that's like the clock or whatever with
Mhm.
women, but it's like you're ready. Your
Yeah.
baby's ready. They're talking to you saying like, "Please, I'm ready to come. Come
Mhm.
find me."
Mhm.
And so whether you're doing that with your like spouse or partner or whatever, or going to the Genius Factory, like you're going to find your baby because your baby's talking to you and they're ready to be.
Yeah.
No.
And I think a baby chooses that family because they have the best opportunity to be everything they're supposed to be in that family.
Yeah.
Is like I kind of think of how it all like it's written in the stars before,
Yeah,
your entrance.
definitely.
Like that was that family that was meant for you, you know.
Yeah, like you're like, I'd find you in every lifetime. Like there's no
You know what I
like there's no world where like I wouldn't have found my mom, she wouldn't have found you. Like
Yeah.
my kids, like they've been a part of me my whole life.
Right.
But I just needed the missing piece, which is
Yeah.
my husband.
So anyways, mom, then we arrive. Or wait, where are you at in the story?
So anyway, then I knew I had to have 2 children because I'm one of 6, and to have an only child, I was like, no, they have to have a brother and a sister. And so anyway, I wait a couple of years, and then of course I have to go through the whole process, but it's a shortened process because I know what I have to do. And lo and behold, I am pregnant with twins. And so I have a very uneventful pregnancy, but my delivery was for the movies. And so I went to the hospital, and my doctor told me, okay, we're going to give you Pitocin so you can have these babies. And so they said, we're going to give you an epidural, and because you have twins. So I said, okay. So I get the epidural, and it's not working. And so I tell the doctor, who's called a fellow. A fellow is a doctor who's a little more advanced in his residency. And I said, it's not working. And he dismissed me. And he goes, oh, no, it just takes time. Well, epidural doesn't take time. Anyway, so sure enough, I'm screaming, and I've delivered a lot of babies, so you hear a lot of screaming. And so I'm screaming in between the contractions, and the nurses come and check me, and they go, oh my God, she's dilated, so bring her into the operating room. So they bring me to the operating room, and they go, my doctor says, give her a bolus. Bolus is a whole bunch of medicine at once, and through the epidural. And all of a sudden, I am like, the ceiling becomes like all crazy stars. And then I hear these clanging lights in my head. And I go, stop everything. Something is wrong. So, sure enough, the epidural wasn't in the space. And he goes, Liam, let's just get through and deliver the baby. So he goes, let's deliver baby A. So he delivers baby A, which was Alannah. And then the baby comes out, and they're trying to show me the baby. And I'm in tears because her lips look like clown lips because my vision was affected by the epidural medicine because it was not going in my spinal canal. It was going all over my body, but there's lots of complications with the medicine going all over your body. So then he says, okay, we're going to deliver baby B. There's 2 OBs there. And I have a doctor doing ultrasound with the baby because the legs were here, back here, and the head was here. So they're doing a version, which is a turning of the baby into
Grant
the
has always been difficult
and
before he even.
and they're trying to do a version or turning, and so the lady doctor accidentally pulls out the cord.
Oh my gosh.
So you can't deliver cord first. So my doctor says, so the heart rate's going down. So we can't deliver that cord first. I'm going to do emergency C-section. So I do an emergency C-section without anesthesia. And then they take the baby out and give me anesthesia. At least that's the story I heard. But it's interesting because I woke up, at first I woke up in the most outrageous pain that any human, and they're trying to give me one pain medicine, it didn't work. And so they had to give me an injection because that's all they had. And I'm like, another painful thing going on. So I go to my room and Nicole Simpson is on the TVs. Nicole Simpson was
O.J.
the wife of O.J. Simpson. And they had all the diagrams, the charts of where she was stabbed. And I know exactly how she felt because they opened me up without anesthesia.
That's
So that was
crazy.
very traumatic, and that's a whole nother story after that. But because I was sick for many, many years, there's something called Sheehan syndrome. When the mother goes into shock, she shuts down her pituitary. And so I was sick and tired, really tired all the time. And so I went to go see many, many, many people.
How did you even hold it together for like the baby, like us when we were younger?
Well, when you're a mother, you will do anything and everything for the safety, protection of that child. It is something that is indescribable how you feel to take care of that child. Wouldn't you agree, Jess?
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Yeah, no matter how you feel, it doesn't matter. Like you do what's beyond anything that you could conceive to protect and take care of that child.
Yeah, like whatever empty is, you have 25 more miles in the tank.
Yes.
Whatever is necessary for that baby and child, it doesn't stop, I don't
Right.
think.
It doesn't.
Did you ever want more kids after us?
No. That was enough, right?
Yeah.
That going through that, I could never think of going through that
Really?
again. It was well, when I first talked about it, I would cry and cry and cry for like 5 years, and then I did emotional work to transform it into my life right now. And every unfavorable experience can be turned into good. And I just think about every single thing I've learned in all of the transgressions and medical conundrums that I've had to live. And that's the way we need to turn everything. We have to turn everything that every problem you have, there's a solution. And then your solution is going to help yourself and help every person you encounter. Because if there's no problems, there's no solutions.
Is with the doctor pulling out the umbilical cord, are they legally like responsible for that or something?
Well,
Is
that's
it
a very interesting. I wrote the hospital a very long letter, and they ended up not charging me a penny.
really?
Yeah, because they knew it was all very, very bad. Every single part of it was bad.
Yeah.
And my doctor, my OB, felt so bad for the experience.
Was this in Newport Beach?
No, this was in Long Beach Memorial.
Oh, Long Beach.
Right. So
Hmm.
anyway, I don't think anyone had bad intentions. I think
Yeah.
it was just everyone wasn't thinking about what was going on, maybe. Like the doctor, when I told him the epidural wasn't working, he dismissed me, which is unfortunate, happens a lot in medicine. And I hear that from patients all the time.
A lot in birth, too.
A lot in birth, because they think it's just so supposed to happen. But every human is different. And I delivered lots of babies at Harbor General. And every person was different for me, and my connection with that person was different. They didn't know me because they were just coming in when they were going to deliver the baby. And we have to really just come from pure, how do we help this person right now? I think that's what needs to be happening. And not judge, but just love without judgment.
Jess, you gave birth at home, right?
Yeah, both of my boys are born at
That's
home.
crazy.
It was really special. They were, I mean, at the end of the day, both of them were born at home, and that's exactly what I wanted. That was the only birth plan that I had, was like, I want my babies to be born at home. Um, but my first was over 50 hours.
Oh my God.
I was dilated to 9 for over 24 hours, which, like, I think in a hospital you can only be dilated at 9 for like 6 hours before they have you do a C-section. But I was so determined to have him at home that I was like, this is totally fine. I can do more. You can always do more, because in my opinion, the safest, best way to bring my babies into this world was at home. So there was nothing that was going to change my mind to be like, I need to go to the hospital or anything. I just was decided, like, I have to just go on a few more walks, a few more lunges. So, I mean, the reason why I had my boys both at home was I had kind of a traumatic birth when I was born. I was an emergency C-section. My mom's entire pregnancy with me, there was complications. She was like bedridden. I had 2 older siblings. And she was in and out of the hospital. It was like a really tough pregnancy. So she had a planned C-section. She went into the hospital to have that C-section. She had had a C-section before, so she wasn't like nervous. She was just excited to meet her baby finally. And she went to get the numbing, the epidural or whatever. And it, similar to you, went to like her upper respiratory. So then they started to like, do the C-section. She's like, I can feel that. And then from that to me being born, it was like 3 minutes. It turned into an emergency C-section. And at the time, your husband couldn't be in the room when you had C-sections. So she was by herself. I'm born within minutes. She wakes up to like the nurse kissing her face, being like, I thought you were gone. Like, you're here, you're here. And she's like, she describes that like postpartum experience with me. Just like, she's like, I couldn't look at anyone. I couldn't do anything. I could only look at you because you were the only one that had experienced what I had experienced in that birth, which was like really intense. So my whole life I was obsessed with birth. Like, I remember when I was young, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till I have kids. Like, the drugs that are going to be available by the time I have my own kids, like, it's going to be amazing. I'm like not going to feel a thing. And then when I think I was like 18 or 19, The Business of Being Born came out, and that became my entire personality. I was like an 18-year-old being like, actually, I'm going to have a natural birth. It's going to be at home, with like, it's like that, with great power comes great responsibility. I was like, now I know what I know about birth, and I'm actually going to have my baby at home. So shortly after that, I became a doula, like obsessed with like the whole birth, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I decided to get pregnant, I was telling everyone I was going on vacation, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to come home pregnant, which like I didn't even think that like that was like a weird thing to tell everyone. I was just like so sure of the fact that I was going to get pregnant in a few weeks. And so I was telling my acupuncturist, telling like people I worked with, my mom, my mother-in-law, and they're like, are you okay? Please stop telling me about your personal life. I'm like, yep, I'm getting pregnant. And then sure enough, I got pregnant.
I'm going to start doing that.
I
kind of have.
Yeah, well, and I was kind of jokingly like telling my husband, you don't know, it might not happen on the first try, so we actually have to start trying earlier. But it did happen to like work on the first try. So I got pregnant with my first, found a chiropractor, and she ended up being my midwife, and that's how I found my home birth midwife, which was amazing. So now I'm at we had like, with both of my boys, it was very simple pregnancies, like no issues, really healthy. I think I'm a better person when I'm pregnant, maybe because I'm like my baby's so close to me that like nothing could be better. But yeah, so with my first, he was born asynclitic, so that means that he was coming down crooked. So 24 hours into labor, they had to like shimmy him out of my birth canal. And I had to be like in one spot for an hour with like the most insane contractions. And then we had to pull him back down. And then finally I was at like 9.5 centimeters. And my husband had to physically, like when I was having a contraction, he would lift my stomach up and then push it down. So we had to like break my cervix because it wasn't opening on its own because his head was coming down crooked. And then with him, I pushed for 4 hours. And then he was born, and I was like, I did everything I wanted to do. And then like my mom and my mother-in-law came to my house, and they're like, you don't look okay. And I'm like, no, this is how I'm supposed to look. Like, my baby is born. He was born at home. They're like, you are blue, but I had just like lost a lot of blood. But that's exactly what I wanted.
Right.
And everything was perfect, in my opinion. So that was Lucky's birth, and it was so beautiful. And then with Frankie, I think I had just been eating a lot more meat. It was like way more nutritionally dense at pregnancy. And so I was having the best time in the beginning of labor. Like, my son woke up at like 2 a.m. My best friends were the midwives. Like, my other best friend was like my doula. And like, we're just like dancing in my living room, having the best time of our lives. My son wakes up, he's like, Mom, why is there a pool in our living room? Like, he was like confused, and he's like, why are you naked in front of everyone? It was a confusing time. And it was perfect until like 7 hours later, where like things started to stall. And I was like, oh no, not again. Like, in my head, I was like, okay, I've been at this for like, I don't know, I think it was like 10 hours maybe. And I was like, at last time it was over 50. I can do that. Like, no problem. So it was a really intense few hours. We ended up contacting this chiropractor that was at my original birth, who was just like an angel. And she came over when she's like, I have to wait for my husband to get home to watch my kids, but I'll be there as soon as possible. She got there. She gave me this amazing adjustment. Things started to progress again. My friend's like, oh my gosh, we can see the hair. And it's really special that you can see the hair way before a baby's actually born. And she's like, I'm never gonna say that again at a birth. But he ended up having shoulder dystocia. So I finally got his head out. This was like, he was born, I think his entire birth was 23 hours. But I finally got his head out when I was like sitting backwards on a toilet. And then they're like, okay, hold the head, because they were like so nervous that he was gonna fall out. And I was like, he's not coming out. And so my midwives had me get on all fours, and my friend just closed her eyes, put her hands inside of me, twisted his shoulders, and pulled him out. And it's the weirdest thing, because my entire pregnancy, my midwives and I both had this weird like feeling. We're like, what if this baby has shoulder dystocia? But we never said it, because we were like, we don't want to put that out there.
Right.
Yeah.
But when the moment happened, when his shoulders were stuck, we just all knew exactly what to do. And he was born super healthy. The chiropractor was there. She gave him an adjustment. Like, he was kind of blue because he was stuck in there for a minute. The chiropractor gave him an adjustment within like 15 minutes of him being born. I have like photos of him going from blue to pink within seconds. It was like the most beautiful thing. And then that's how I cut my second birth halftime, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And hopefully we have a third birth story soon.
I mean, one day, but
God's plan.
exactly.
That's
Just have to start telling everyone that I'm gonna get pregnant, and then I'll
redo it.
That's the trick. I'm like, don't everyone, I'm pregnant. You heard it here first.
That is so crazy. Well, it's crazy because the statistics on infertility are like grave. Like, truly, this is the biggest issue in the world, is people not having babies. About 17.5% of the adult population, 1 in 6, experience infertility, and 42% of Americans have turned to fertility treatments or know someone who has. And so, part of it is like the seed oils, the estrogens, the plastics, people not, low progesterone, stevia, the overabundance of stevia in the world is truly insane. Like, we were talking about this. We love Ballerina Farm, but girl, the protein powder has stevia in it.
Everything does, even like our favorite supplements do. So it's like, even if you're not consuming large doses in one sitting, it's like, even the best things for you have just a little bit. So if you get a little bit, like microdosing, every 4 hours, it's like, okay, well, then you're gonna have like toxic overload. And
Right. Oh, and then people don't know that. Okay, so stevia in some like rat studies has shown a 75% reduction in female rat fertility. 75% reduction. And like women are just chugging stevia and protein powder.
protein powder, electrolyte drinks,
Yes,
gummies.
Stevia is in everything.
It's in everything, like healthy desserts. I'm like,
Yeah.
just like, give us the real stuff. Our body knows how to process that. Everything in moderation, but it's like, not that stevia isn't real, but it is ultra processed.
Mhm.
Like,
Well, and it's what they in like some tribes use as a natural contraceptive.
yes.
So and the people are eating this every single day.
Yeah, so like if we want to, say, hey, stop your birth control, go on stevia, that's one option, but just know what's happening to you and what you're doing.
And then not to mention like so you have stevia in the morning and then at lunch you're eating like Molly Bass's mayo with seed oils.
Yes.
And which like seed oils can, block fertility in rats literally.
Well, doesn't it like slow everything down in your
Yeah.
like your cells when so you're like putting the seed oils in and then mixing a little stevia in it, and it's just like I'll probably get pregnant tomorrow with that slop. Like,
And then like the plastic water bottle use and the environmental estrogens associated with that.
Yeah.
That's from all angles, we're not helping the fertility.
Well, and not to mention electromagnetic fields that males put in their pocket or females.
Mom will be out with people and she'll be like, you have your cell phone next to your balls.
oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, that we just met them.
No, it's important to point that out. Like you're doing disservice by not.
So by not, handling it. Okay, well, we're going to dive deeper into the fertility crisis, but thank you guys for sharing your intimate birthing stories because that's the most intimate thing in the world, like personal and serious, and you have your yield though speaks for itself. I know your children, their eyelashes are no stevia here. They're no, they're eating raw cheese and orange juice from freshly squeezed trees outside in Orange County.
Oh yeah.
And then mom's kids. They're not so bad.
We'll keep them around.
Well, I think the biggest thing is beyond seed oils and stevia is the spiritual state of the mind when you're welcoming a child in. And like we say this online, we give a lot of parenting advice that like the number one thing is to become whole in yourself. And we were on a walk the other day, you were like, I don't know why moms ignore that the problems in their child are problems in themselves. It's all a mirror.
Yeah.
And you have to really grow up.
Extremely humbling. That's why. It's
Very humbling.
Like you're like, oh, that's me. Whenever you're like having the hardest time, you're like, but we all struggle with, things going on inside of us, and we don't want to look at that like every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But
then how do you? Because you do. You're like, that problem is my problem.
I mean, my kids force me to. I don't have an option. Like to be a better, like show up for them, I have to constantly be looking inwards and being like, what can I do to show up for my kid today? Even if I don't want to, and it's exhausting. It's like,
Well, it's interesting. Alannah had a friend over and she is getting married. She's 34, going to be 35 very soon. And so she was talking to me about she wants to really get pregnant right away. So I said, oh, okay. So do you take birth control pills? No. She goes, I have an IUD. And I said, well, how long have you had the IUD? And she said 8 years. And I said, well, first of all, you need to get that out immediately because you need to correct the environment of your cervix because an IUD causes chronic inflammation. That's why it's used as birth control.
Did she have the hormonal IUD or non-hormonal? Do you know?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. They're both
is
not
it's
good.
copper. I think it's non-hormonal.
Yeah, but it can still mess with your hormones.
Well, it does, but I don't. I think the plastic one that people put inside, that one has the hormones. It's the copper one.
That one is just.
So anyway,
turning
I
up
just
a
told her
notch. It's not good.
to get it out, and so her body can go in regeneration and repair. And then I go, you really want to, since you've had this for a long time, your body doesn't even really know how to do its normal
Rhythm
and function. And so so that's why you want to get it out right now. And then you want to make sure your hormones. And I said, more importantly, you and your partner need to set the intention of this miracle. So you guys need to get together and really discuss the whole process, like how it's going to happen, what you're looking forward to, the miracle that you're going to be produced. So she was just like, oh, I never even thought about that. So
a lot of people do.
Right. And so we need to be conscious and mindful of
and intentional.
Yes, and intentional about every action.
Yeah, impeccable and intentional with our day and our family. I love that, Mom. I feel like you were a beacon of intention every single day.
Thank you, Mommy.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you guys.
Okay. Well, next episode we'll dig into like the vitamin C, progesterone, thyroid health testing and stuff for
And
that.
sperm health and
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Less story, more strategy.
Do we have any questions that we should address?
Oh shoot, yes, house calls. Okay, house calls. This is the section where we will answer calls, like, questions that you have if you called in, but people haven't gotten that call part, so we're gonna read them up. So someone says, I am bloating during ovulation. I had my period 2 weeks ago, and my bloating is worse than it is during my actual cycle. And this was related to fertility, but yes, should I say the name who it's from?
No.
No. Okay.
They'll know who they are.
They'll know.
There's probably a lot of women listening that have this experience.
What
Well,
causes bloating during ovulation?
because actually, when I was going through my infertility process, I had to take a whole cadre of hormones to set the stage for this baby. And when you take those fertility hormones, whether it's Clomid or the other medications that they give you, it's quite, it's to create these robust follicles. So you can be in exquisite pain and bloating from that. So if this person was going through infertility, that is a normal response because you're stimulating the follicles. And so they even have a condition called hyperstimulation. So I think that is really, what's happening. Now, a woman normally going through their cycle would most likely not have that extreme ovulatory pain. Usually women do not.
Aren't your like histamines higher when you're ovulating? If you like suffer from a histamine imbalance?
Well, if you suffer from an
Yeah,
histamine
but like
imbalance.
most people have a little hinge of that because of everything that's like in our environment and how
Mhm.
we eat and whatnot.
Right, and
It's like we're not dealing with like perfect specimens. So a lot of people are combating the like histamine happening when they're ovulating and not really
and
knowing that because it's such a silent little
Mhm.
niche thing. I feel like no one really hits on.
addresses it. And
Yeah,
well, because you have to target everything that's causing that histamine.
exactly.
So
I also think, bloating during ovulation could be your ovulation window's too long and your estrogen's too high. If
Yeah.
it's too long of a period. So, really ovulation shouldn't be like a week. It's actually like a very condensed period.
yeah, it's very small.
It's a very small time. So it could be your hormones are imbalanced with estrogen being too
Too
exposed.
high.
Too exposed. One other question was about, we'll just do one more because a lot of them are on like tips that we're going to go over next time. But on PCOS and getting pregnant, I think doctors are like telling women with PCOS, like you may not be able to get pregnant. And that is so not true. Like with PCOS, you have to correct what's going on. Yes, of course, but you can still get pregnant after you address what's going on.
That's
know.
correct. Well, and we as physicians need to be very careful what we are speaking to our patients. We really want to speak victory and hope in our
Mhm.
patients. And I know from, I will tell you a very interesting story. A patient came to see me for a second opinion because her doctor told her that she was in menopause and she was 33 years old. And she goes, she had just gotten married and wants to have a child. So sure enough, I do all the tests and they said, yes, you are in menopause. Let me give you some biologically identical hormones. She comes to me a year later stating she's nauseous. And I go, well, let's just make sure, let's do a pregnancy test and make sure you're pregnant. She was pregnant
Wow.
after she had been told that she couldn't get pregnant. So anything is possible.
Yeah. Doctors speak limitations into you, basically, not limitless potential.
Exactly.
You got to live in the possibility because the universe is like mysterious and has answers beyond our belief.
And that's a classic example.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Celluverse is the podcast where we get real about what's making us sick and what it actually takes to get better. Hosted by Alannah Connealy, Jess Donovan, and Dr. Lee Erin Connealy, this show pulls back the curtain on mitochondria, metabolism, hormones, toxins, cancer, and all the stuff your doctor shrugs off. We dig into the science, but also the lived experience of what it means to be healthy in today's world.
Just a reminder, anything discussed on this podcast is not medical advice.
And nothing can actually harm you if you're pure of heart.